Hello friends, welcome to the third episode of an Italian knitting podcast. My name is Francesca, I am an Italian knitter, and before I forget, I'd like to just say thank you to who commented on my first two episodes. I found that throughout my day, I was out and about doing boring stuff, errands or work or picking up my daughter, and I would get like a notification of someone leaving a lovely comment or maybe a question or a constructive feedback. So thank you everyone who left a comment, and I hope to see you around in the future as well. That's it. I today would like to show you two finished objects and three works in progress. And sorry, I'm talking very slowly today. I'm just looking around. And at the end, I would also like to show you yarns that I bought for projects, like short-term plans that I have. The first finished object that I have to show you today is the one that I'm wearing right now. It's a super cozy cardigan. It's called the Novice Cardigan Chunky Edition. And it definitely feels chunky. Like it feels like you are wearing something like firm and something with, I don't know, grip to it. I don't know how you say that, but like it's something. You're wearing like a cozy thing. It's not like a lightweight, mohair, lacy cardigan, and I am loving it. I'm wearing it this morning. It's a little bit chilly, and I think this is perfect to be around the house. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my office, which is where we are, is at the very far end of the house, opposite to where the heating is. So the temperature in my living room is perfect, but here is a little bit chilly. For me, for my tastes, I'm always cold, and so it's the perfect place to wear this cardigan. And I'm gonna stand up, but I will also maybe insert some pictures and videos of me showing you the cardigan in a proper position. Yeah, let's do that instead. And this is knit up in Drops Air, which is the main yarn. It's the Aran weight yarn, and I paired it with Drops brushed alpaca silk, and I have some leftovers. This is what I have left, and the brushed alpaca silk, I find it's very soft and it's not itchy at all, and it's a good replacement for mohair. I have another like mohair project after, and I find that when I'm comparing the two, this project with the brushed alpaca silk is a little bit softer. So I would recommend this if you're looking for a mohair replacement, which is still very affordable. And as you can tell, the final result is way more like the main yarn, and the alpaca color doesn't really show that much, but maybe a little bit. And yeah, this is the leftovers that I have. And I think what makes this cardigan, sorry, I came very close to you. What makes this cardigan very, very special are the buttons. So these are handcrafted, handmade buttons. They're wood. And these have been crafted by hand by Martina from We Grow Wild. And they have the most amazing, heartwarming smell of nature, and like if you smell them, you can picture yourself in a meadow or like in a forest with just like surrounded by nature, and like I can hear the birds chirping. I don't know what is it. There's drug on this. I don't know. She drugged me, and I don't even know if it's the wood itself or if it's a polish, like a varnish that she put on top to seal them. I don't know, I should ask her. But yeah, they have the most amazing smell. So I was so lucky, and I felt so grateful to get a hold of these buttons. She sent them to me, and I think I heard from her that she might start making more of them. And so if you're looking for some wooden buttons, you might be lucky enough to to get some from her. I would definitely recommend them. I saw that Etsy also has some similar buttons. They're handmade, but I really like knowing the person who made them. They really add something so special to the cardigan, more than if I just bought some buttons from the local yarn store or from Amazon or from Etsy or I don't know, online retailers. They make the cardigan even more special. And I actually have some more, so she sent me enough for 2 garments. So I have 6 on this button band and I have 6 more, so they would be perfect for another cardigan that I will make in the future. And something that I started doing for garments this week is I'm trying to understand how much money I spend on garments, on each garment, not because I want to shame myself for spending too much or too little or anything like that, but I'm just curious to see like my favorite garments or my least favorite garments, how much money I spend on them, just because I think I'll find that the ones that I really loved might not be the most expensive ones. I don't know, this is an experiment. You're part of an experiment with me. And so the yarn for this was 38 euros. And I don't remember the breakdown between the drops air and the drops brushed alpaca. I can put it on the screen though. And so 38 for the yarn. And I don't think I can put a price on the buttons, so I don't know how much this would be worth in my heart. But let's pretend like buttons that you would buy from Etsy or from a local yarn store. It might be maybe like $10-15. Is that true? I don't know. So let's I want to say this is maybe like 50 euros finished project, which I think it is I mean, it's a cardigan, so you're also adding the cost of the buttons. If you really want these nice smelling but also nice looking wooden ones, you are gonna pay more than just the yarn. But I feel like $50 for like a very chunky, like cozy cardigan, I am happy to have spent them. And I think I'm gonna use this for the foreseeable winters. So I'm happy with that. Is there anything else that I'd like to tell you about this cardigan? I think actually this was my first cardigan with buttons. So this was my first time actually sewing buttons on a garment. And I had to watch YouTube videos on how to do that. I wasn't confident in myself enough to actually just go for it. So I just watched a video and it was exactly how you would imagine. So you just go with the yarn a few times and kind of tie it back and maybe weave in the ends. But I don't know, tutorials are my thing. So I would watch tutorials for everything, honestly. And yeah, I did a tubular Italian bind off at the bottom just because I like it. And for my sleeves though, I've tried a tubular or Italian bind off many times, where many means 4 or 3, so a few times, more than one, and I do not like it. For some reason it doesn't give me enough stretch for what I prefer. I really like my sleeve not to have any tightness, so the cast off not to have any tightness. So I just do like a super stretchy one, and I do not care if it flares a little bit because I do need to feel free. My hands should feel free, and so I do the super stretchy bind off where you do yarn overs before each stitch, and so the final result is very relaxed. I'll put links in the description for tutorials if you're looking for a new bind off, especially for cuffs. So I do this one in all my garments. The bottom hem, I switch it up sometimes between super stretchy or this tubular one. Yeah, for this cardigan, the last thing that comes to mind is that it's not a Raglan style cardigan, so you don't see the line here of the increases, and it's instead a cardigan where you increase on selected like specific rows. You will have a row where you increase all the time, but then for maybe an inch or two you'll just go straight in like a stockinette style. Also, I'm saying 2 inches or 1 inch, but I have no idea what inches are. I'm pretending, since I lived in the US, I'm pretending that I know inches, but I actually am European at heart, so I have no idea what it means. But what I meant, I think, like, let's pretend you, what am I doing? I don't know, like a couple of fingers, you just knit straight, and then you have another increased row. So on the increased row, you cannot probably watch TV or do some things at the same time. But like for the rest of the cardigan, you just go round, like you go straight. And I wanted to say round, but you don't go in the round because this is an open cardigan. So you go 1 row knit and 1 row purl. I don't love it. I love cardigans more than sweaters if I need to wear them. Is that true? I think that's true. So I would choose a cardigan over a sweater if I need to wear something, because it's like you can leave it open if you're hot, or you can kind of close it if you're chilly. And I like that versatility. However, I do not like to knit them flat, which is how this is knit. So I don't like to purl. That's what I'm trying to say. Something that you already knew probably, because it's true for 99% of the knitters that I know. And so purling it's not as fun as knitting. And I know that there are some knitters who stick their cardigans, so they knit them in the round like they were sweaters, but then they cut them open at the end to make them into a cardigan. I've not tried that. I'm kind of interested in doing that, but I need to do more research. As I mentioned before, I'm a person who watches tutorials for everything. So I do need to watch some more of them on the YouTube before I can be convinced and confident to actually pick up one of those projects. We'll see how it goes. That's it. I think we talked enough about this cardigan. It is lovely, but enough. Let's move forward. The second finished object that I have is a headband, and I will need to get close to you a little bit, sorry. And this is a grain headband. I'm holding it in a very awkward manner because it's still wet. I washed it yesterday. I will insert a video of the headband flat on my desk probably, and it is lovely. This is a headband made with slip stitches. The pattern is lovely, so feminine and I don't know, elegant in a way, and it's a free pattern. I will link it down below. The yarn is a yarn that my friend donated to me. I have a little ball here. I didn't bother caking this up into a nice tidy thing, so but it's a lovely yarn. It's a bulky weight yarn, and I think the headband took me like an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe more, and I just don't remember. But I mean to say that it's a quick project if you are on a car ride and you're not the person driving, you're the passenger, or maybe just at home, you're watching something on TV that doesn't require too much of your attention. So yeah, and headbands, I think they're so fun to knit, and they're so perfect for using up leftover yarns or just very small balls of yarn. However, I'm not sure if I love wearing them. For some reason, I don't look very good in them. So I will still make them, but it's not that I love wearing them. Like, I love wearing cardigans and sweaters and, I don't know, gloves and mittens, but I don't know, headbands don't sit too well on me. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So I will still make them. Not sure if they're the project of my heart. And that was my second finished object. Second and last. Is that true? That's very much true. And we can now move on to works that are in progress at the moment. You've seen both of them before if you watched other episodes, but I will still show them to you. I did make a good amount of progress, so I'm gonna pick the closest one to me. And this is No Frills Sweater by PetiteKnit. I've finished one sleeve and I have another one almost done, and the body is currently on hold on a scrap piece of yarn because I wanted to just try the sweater on and see how much longer I wanted to knit for. And I think I'm almost there, maybe an inch. Still pretending to know what inches are, but a couple of centimeters maybe. And then I'll do the bottom hem. I still have a good amount of yarn, so I'm not playing yarn chicken for this specific project. And what I have is I'm using Drops Flora, which is a fingering weight yarn, and I'm using Drops Kid Silk. So this is a mohair based one. It looks comparable to the brushed alpaca silk, which is what I use for the cardigan that I'm wearing. So they kind of give the same vibe, or they fit the same need. They provide the same effect. It's a strand of yarn that it's quite fluffy, and you can add it to another yarn to make it, to give it like a little bit of fuzziness. Or you can also use it by itself, maybe double-stranded or triple-stranded for some projects. I've never done that. I always just add it to another yarn. I think that that's what I like the most. So the other yarn would maybe give it like the structure, and this is just a nice halo on top. But yeah, these to me are very comparable. I would say that I prefer the brushed alpaca silk for softness. I think price-wise are comparable. I should have checked, but I want to say Drops, especially as a brand, I can find pretty affordable options, especially when they go on sale. So I think I want to say, if I had to bet, that these are price-wise are probably comparable. But yeah, I'm still liking the Kid Silk, even though it's slightly less soft. It's not itchy, but like it's a little bit less soft than the other one. And what else do I want to tell you? This is my second No Frills sweater. And won't probably be the last one. I really love this pattern. This is Raglan Increases, which you cannot probably see. Maybe, yeah, I think you can. And it's quite relaxing to me now, especially because I knitted this before. And so when I read through the pattern, I just, yeah, I remember this. Okay, yeah, maybe I didn't remember the stitch count, but like it's easy to go through. You knit the collar, and then you knit a little bit of short rows so that the back sits a little bit higher on your neck compared to the front, so perfect fit. And then you do the Raglan increases in the yoke, and then you just knit straight. There are some decreases on the sleeves if you want to put them in, and I did do that on both my No Frills. This one turned the sleeves turned up a little bit of a balloon style-ish, which I really like. So what happened here is that at the end of my desired length for the sleeve, I didn't decrease enough compared to what the pattern recommended. And so before the cuff, I just did rapid decreases in the same row so that the stitch count came to the same one that the pattern required. So it gives you a little bit of a balloon, a balloonish type sleeve. This is enough for me as a balloon sleeve. I do not love super huge balloon sleeves. This is also kind of the same vibe, but I would not want more than that because it's not convenient for me. If it's more than this, it's too much fabric for me and it's not comfortable when I put it inside my jacket or like just around, like just moving around is not as easy. That's it. Again, recommended. So this is a No Frills sweater by PetiteKnit. The other sweater that I have in progress is the Daily Ritual Raglan by Park Williams, and I have a good amount of knitting done. I didn't complete an entire sleeve, and the body is also on hold. And what I've done for the neck is I did knit the turtleneck part, but I put it on hold on some scrap yarn because I don't know how like tall I want to make it, what bind off I want to make, so I'll just, I don't know. Also, I don't know if this is wide enough for me, so I will block it first, and then if I'm happy with the fit, I will cast it off. If it's too tight, because it does look a little bit tight. No, it's not true. Is it true? Not sure. If it is a bit too tight, I can just rip the turtleneck off, because this is a I picked up the stitches around the neckline and I knitted up. This is what the pattern calls for, and so I can just redo it. It is ribbing, so it's not the most fun to knit, so I'm not looking forward to unravel this work, the work that I put into it, but I will do it if it's too tight. Hopefully though, this will block out because it is ribbing and it's quite stretchy, so I will probably wet it, like wash it, and then just pin it in place so that it stretches. And hopefully this will dry in a more comfortable shape for me, for my neck. This is also a Raglan style sweater, and I think it's going very well. This is also my first time doing decreases in the body towards the waist. I've not done it before. I think because any of the patterns that I followed had decreases. They didn't call for decreases, but also because my like upper part, like chest part, is not much wider than my waist. It is a little bit, but I don't have like a big chest or anything. But I am putting in some decreases, a little bit less than the patterns call for, just to see if I like it. If it's a feature that fits me well, I think I can just put some decreases on any pattern, unless it's like complicated color work, but that's not me. I will not be doing those patterns anyway. But yeah, if it's a plain like boxy straight cardigan like the no frills is, I can always put in some decreases if I'd like, and you can do that too, probably if you'd like to try that. The yarn that I'm using is Lane du Nord mercerized merino, and since I bought this, I actually kind of looked more into what mercerized means, and I was a little bit bored with all the details of the description and what actually means. However, I think it just gives a little bit more like shine. This is the final effect. It gives a little bit more shine than a regular wool, or like other types of wool. I'm not that scientific, I'm so sorry. I'm liking the yarn. It is a little bit uneven, knitted up. I'm not sure if it's because I'm not a very tidy knitter, but we'll see once it's all blocked and nice and finished, and I'll give you a better review then. And the last work in progress that I have is a companion headband. This is a companion headband, I'm so sorry, to the one that I knitted for myself. So this is for my daughter, and sorry, I should have untangled it before showing it to you. It's still in progress. I haven't cast it off because I need to try it on her head, which I haven't done yet. It is a bit like curling because I haven't blocked it or anything. But it's again the same exact pattern that I used for mine. So the grain headband, slip stitches, and the pattern is a free pattern, and it gives you the count of stitches recommended for like a regular adult size head. I want to say it's 18 stitches. It's a free pattern, so I'm just telling you the stitches. I think no one can say anything about that. And so the pattern actually tells you if you want to have a more narrow headband or even like a bigger one, like a wider one, just cast on multiple of 3. So you can just cast on 12, 15, 18, 21. And so what I did is I tried first with 12 stitches, which would have made the width 2/3 of the one that I needed for myself, which on paper I thought it was gonna work well, because she has a smaller head than me. But like, so 2/3 like sounded well. However, it was too narrow for my tastes. I also compared it to another headband that I needed for her a few months ago, and indeed was a little bit too narrow, like narrower than that one. So in the end I went for 15 stitches, which are just like 3 stitches less than the one I needed for myself. However, I think it works very well. Like, I think this is the width that fits her. I don't know if you can tell, but for me I think it would be a little bit too narrow. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I have big ears, so my only concern is that they would not be warm enough, because this might like not cover them properly. But yeah, I would recommend 100% to knit a headband from the same designer. I'll put her name on screen. She has a lot of free headbands in different stitch patterns, so pretty. So I would call them feminine, like they add something to your look. And this is the final, like, probably what will be left after a couple of headbands from the ball of yarn. And I want to see if I can make a coaster for my mug, like when I'm in the office here, because this yarn, I think it's one of the most beautiful shades I've ever seen. I think like I'm hyping it too much, but this was a random skein of yarn that a knitting friend that I have like gifted to me, and it was like, maybe that's why it's so special, because she gifted it to me. But I feel like this might be enough for like a garter stitch square. I will try it. I mean, if it doesn't work out, if it's too little, I will just probably throw it away if I cannot even make a coaster, but maybe. So yeah, so that I can have it on the side here of on my desk when I'm drinking a mug of tea. I can kind of have this square of garter stitch near me, and kind of reminds me of my knitting friend and my headbands. Yeah, I think that's a good one. These were my in-progress knits, and the last thing that I want to share with you are a little cheeky plans for the futures. I have both short-term plans that I have the yarn for, and like a little bit of the far distant future plans, but I'll share both. Cool. So I went to my local-ish yarn store. So I have a yarn store that it's walkable from here, from my place, which I went to a couple of weeks ago probably to buy the burgundy yarn for my daily ritual raglan. But this time I went to a yarn store that it's a little bit farther, so I had to drive there. It's very close to my parents' house, which is very dangerous because the yarn store was lovely and I'd like to go back again. I'll put some footage here for you. Just bask in the lovely choice of colors that they had. I could see that from outside. And I bought 2 garment quantities of yarn. They had drops as a brand, which is very affordable, as I mentioned many times, and I like that. But it also, the quality is pretty good to me. Like, I would recommend it. I would not hesitate to recommend it to you. And I bought 2 quantities. So I have drops Lima in this pearl gray yarn. So this colorway was 100% inspired by the yarn that my friend donated. So I went there looking for a pearl gray or like a similar gray. And I would like to knit a no frills sweater out of this. This is DK weight. So the no frills sweater calls for 1 strand of fingering and 1 strand of mohair lace weight. So if you can actually, if you want to, replace that with a DK weight yarn, and this is what I will try to do. There are other patterns similar to the no frills that I can use this for, but my heart is currently planning for a no frills sweater. And I do like this gray, it's very soft. This is alpaca and wool. Yes, it is alpaca and wool, so I foresee this to be very drapey, very soft, perfect for like just chilling around. And I bought a sweater quantity of this, and I also bought a t-shirt quantity of a cotton based yarn, and this is Drops Saffron, 100% cotton, so definitely cotton based, cotton only. I love this color, so I bought this for the Cumulus tee by PetiteKnit, and especially I was inspired by one of the projects that I found linked to that pattern. I'll put a picture, and that project has been knitted by someone in Knitting for Olive pure silk in the color copper, and I love that shade. I'm like, yes, I need to buy that same exact yarn and knit that same exact shirt or tee. However, I went to the store that I went to, and they had this color which is very much the same, or like to my eye they look very similar, so I was like, I'll just replace the Knitting for Olive more expensive choice with the Drops more affordable choice. However, I didn't realize this is sport weight yarn, while the Cumulus tee calls for fingering or even light fingering. So if I do want to use this yarn for that shirt or that pattern, I will have to do some modifications. So in the beginning, when I realized this, I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, I've been knitting for a few years, and I should be able to just adapt the pattern to change gauge, like to use a different gauge. So maybe I'll knit less rows or cast less stitches on. But I knit for pleasure. I knit to just relax. It's a hobby. So I don't know if I can be bothered to make a lot of math and calculations and not have the peace of mind that the garment will come up exactly as described in the pattern. So I think I will abandon the idea of the Cumulus tee. And so I started this morning looking for other patterns that are similar, so like summery t-shirts, very simple, with like a little bit of a, a little bit of a sleeve, maybe like a simple shirt that would look good in this color, which is probably every shirt. And I actually have a Ravelry collection that I put together. I will link it down in the description in case you're also looking for some summer knits. So that might be useful for you too. And many of those patterns are knitted in a sport weight yarn, which is what this is, which will also probably knit up much quicker. Will knit up somewhat quicker than a fingering weight garment. So those are my plans. So the summer shirt will be hopefully casted on next week or this week in a few days. And I think that actually is the perfect project to partake in a new knit along that I found out about, and that's hosted by Martina from We Grow Wild here on YouTube, and also on Instagram she's We Grow Wild. And she has, I think I mentioned her before. Yeah, definitely I mentioned her before because she crafted the special buttons that I now have sewn on the cardigan. And so she has a podcast. She also posts on Instagram quite frequently, so I watch her stories here and there. And again, it's so like wholesome, so like relaxing. She lives in the countryside, I want to say, like in a more green area that I do. So when I watch her, I'm like, ooh, I can take a breath of fresh air almost. And the knit along that she's hosting is inspired by plant-based fibers and summer spring knits. So knitting a summer t-shirt out of cotton, I think it's a perfect project to participate in the knit-along. You can join her and me along this journey. I will put down in the description a link to her video when she announces the knit-along, and maybe some other information that I have that might help you join us. And yeah, those were my short-term projects, plans. I also have other things in my mind that I will just show to you, just in case you're looking for inspiration or motivation to cast on something new. So one is that I saw a cardigan from PetiteKnit. What a surprise. And so it is a different shape cardigan here in the front. So this one, if you close it up, I think it gives you like a sweater shape. I don't know how if I'm describing this particularly well, but like if you close it up, the neckline here, the yoke really feels like a sweater. But I feel like I would like one of those cardigans that is more tapered. Is that the word? Like they have a more I don't know, neckline that looks like this, and maybe they have buttons here. And I found a similar cardigan in this shape on PetiteKnit's Ravelry page, and I think if I knit it up in that same light colored yarn that I see in the pattern pictures, it would go so well with my more buttons that I have from Tina. And I have a few more, not a few, but like more than a few. I have 6 more, and I think those would be lovely for that cardigan. I don't think I will knit it this, like in this first half of the year, so maybe this might be my first project for the fall and autumn, the winter, next winter maybe. The second long-term project that I had floating in my mind would be to knit some fingerless mittens. These ones that I'm showing you just because I like the fit of them, I bought them from Etsy, I want to say 10 years ago. Yeah, these were made like 10 years ago. They're very like short, which I like. I don't care for like mittens that cover anything else, because I have like a sweater or a jacket on anyway, so I don't need extra warmth around the wrist. I like the length. They also have like a cable looking thing here. I don't know if I want to make them complicated like this, or if I just want to make them simple, but I would like something similar. And as I said, these are knitted, definitely hand knitted, I'm pretty sure, by someone who sold them on Etsy. And at that time when I bought them, I just liked the look of them. I didn't know how to knit. I couldn't knit this for myself, but hopefully now I'm skilled enough that I can attempt making them. And I have a good amount of yarn that my mom's cousin donated to me, and so I will try to find a pattern for similar fingerless mitts. This would be, I think, great for a few more months this year before spring or summer, because I bike to bring my daughter to daycare and back. My hands get a little bit dry if I bike without any glove. And yeah, a little side project that I'd like to mention is that these mittens, you cannot tell anything from there, but like they have like one teeny tiny hole where the glove wore off a little bit, and I actually found in my stash leftover yarn from something else, and it actually matches pretty closely. So I will just use this to repair the gloves, the mittens in a couple of places. And I mean, it's not technically knitting, but it has to do with knitting, so I mentioned it. Pretty close match. And that would be it. I don't think I have anything else to show you today. Thank you for listening to me rambling about plans and finished objects and all the things that I showed you. I'm really grateful you're watching and commenting. It really makes me feel part of the community. I'm trying to post some stuff on Instagram too. If you'd like to have a new knitting friend to follow on Instagram too, And for now, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you in a week or so, hopefully with a couple of finished sweaters and maybe summer t-shirt that has been casted on. Happy knitting. Bye friends.